Welcome back. Still tuned in to News and Views right here on Salam Media, your home of humanitarian journalism. South Africa has come under the spotlight again for accusations of state xenophobia. This is as police have been rounding up foreign nationals in large numbers during nationwide crime operations. There's been a lot of criticism about how they go about rounding up these illegal migrants. Some are calling humiliation, some say they're even extorting money from them, and then just leaving them to go wherever they are. So we're going to be having a really, really interesting discussion with Hafiz, Sadek, Saeed, a religious leader and teacher, to help us unpack these developments and just get insight on some of his personal experiences with what he's seen in the Pietermaritzburg area. Hafiz, Jazakallah so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and to your listeners.
The issue of illegal migrants has one that has gained, momentum. I think particularly before and after the elections, a lot of political parties have been using it as a way to, garner votes. And it seems like post-elections, we are seeing, movements. There's a lot of raids happening across the country in various CBDs. But you guys are concerned. You're saying you were seeing some unsavory behavior from our law enforcement agencies. Can you unpack a bit on that?
You see, last week, Thursday, the immigration officials, together with members of security, they raided some of the flats downtown in Pietermaritzburg, which is in Church Street. And according to some eyewitness recounts and some neighbors, it was done in a very inhuman way. And we are not saying that South Africa must not look after its borders. South Africa must not look after its citizens and the welfare of all who live in South Africa. But if there is any illegal activity, like for example, if there are illegal migrants, etc., then there is a proper process and protocol that should be followed, so that we don't dehumanize anybody, we don't take away anybody's dignity or respect or human rights. Like for example, one neighbor was telling us that the small children were late at night or early part of the morning were made to lie down on the ground, on the floor with the mother, while the police were searching the home, etc. Now, these kind of things for children to watch can traumatize them very, very deeply and for a long time.
How would you respond to someone that would say, illegal immigration is a crime, and those that are, being, suspected of this crime need to be dealt with accordingly by law enforcement agencies? They shouldn't be treated, with children gloves or be treated nicely, as you wouldn't treat someone that has stolen a car or someone that has murdered someone. A crime is a crime and should be dealt with accordingly. How would you respond to that?
You see, I truly agree with you. A crime is a crime, and it is a duty of the security officials to protect every South African from criminals. That we agree with them and we are for them, and we support them in that. But it has to be done with dignity. It has to be done with evidence, and it has to be done with proper papers. With global mobility on the increase, first of all, we need to start with our borders. So the borders need to be manned correctly and effectively, and they need to have good equipment and sound technical infrastructure. So, South Africa is a beautiful country. South Africa has all the resources that one will want. The weather is nice. We have water, we have fruit, we have vegetables. There is job opportunities if we all work together. But if any criminal enter into the country, it must start from the border. So if our borders are manned correctly and effectively, then we won't have problems down the line.
In your opinion, what steps could be taken to address, the issue of illegal immigration without disproportionately targeting foreign nationals and such heavy-handedness behavior from law enforcement agencies?
Well, you see, first of all, everything starts with education. Education is a gateway to many things in life. For a better life, for economic prosperity, etc. So the law enforcement officials, I'm sure, they are being educated, etc. But more needs to be done to educate them in the sense that if there are illegal immigrants living in a block of flats or in a hijacked building, that the new word that we are using nowadays, hijacked buildings, then proper procedures must be followed. For example, an announcement must be made, advertisements must be put in newspapers, and on advertisements must be given over the radio stations that we are going to be carrying out these raids and we are going to be doing these kind of things. And during the course of the day, they can go into shops, into businesses, like into like how other countries do it. They ask you for your papers, etc. Then we don't mind things like that. But coming late at night and knocking the door down and going into people's homes, etc., then that's now, taking away people's respect and dignity.
Mm, mm, mm. And as religious leaders, as community leaders, what steps and what role do you think you guys have to play into conscientizing, law enforcement agents?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you are stakeholders. You live within the communities, your community leaders, and you have a role to play in all of this.
Yes, agreed. I truly agree with you. The community leaders, political leaders, religious leaders all need to use the different platforms and educate the migrants or educate people that have come to look for better pastures in South Africa and educate them that this is a country, it has a constitution, it has rules, it has regulation, and there are laws to be followed. In other words, in a nutshell, everybody must abide by the rule of law. So if anybody is living in the country illegally or without proper papers, etc., then they must do whatever is in their power to get their documents correctly sorted out. So in that way, everybody lives in harmony.
No, definitely. Hafiz, Sadek, Saeed, I think we're going to leave it there. Just so much for giving us your time and raising that very, very important topic that needs to be addressed.
Jazakallah, thank you to all your listeners for listening to me, and walaikum salam.
Alaikum salam. Yeah, the issue of illegal immigrants. Folks, I think we need to start having an honest conversation about illegal immigration in South Africa. Number one, it's a big problem. It's a problem that our government has failed dismally to address. It's a problem that has been used by political parties to essentially get your vote because it's easy, to shift the blame on foreign nationals. But then again, we can't, we can't be in a position where, as South Africans, when we speak out about illegal immigration and the problems that it has caused, we are labeled as xenophobic. That's one thing we shouldn't allow as South Africans. That's one thing we should refuse. That's a label we should refuse as South Africans. Because just like any other country, just like any other sovereign country in the world, we have a right to protect what's ours. We have a right to speak out when we feel like our country is under attack. And we have a right to call out our government when we feel like they're putting our lives at risk and the jeopardy, and they're putting our future of this country in jeopardy. But then again, we can't use the issue of illegal migrants as an excuse for everything. Our government has messed up, and now all of these raids that we're seeing, it's just merely a reaction to a problem that they have caused. It's just merely putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. How do you go about these crazy Hollywood-style raids, sirens all over the place, rounding people up like they're terrorists, when you couldn't stop them at the border? Okay? When law enforcement officials at the border, the colleagues of the very same people that are doing these Hollywood-style raids in our CBDs and our townships and our towns almost every second day now, seeming to be fashionable, their colleagues at the border, Bait Bridge or whatever border you can think of for point of entry, they're the ones taking bribes from people that are not documented. They're the ones letting them in. They're the ones letting illegal goods in and out of our country. And then when the problem is reached the city centers in the main areas of the country, they are the first ones to start going all crazy and making us look like idiots and acting like they're doing their jobs. Hey, you don't start doing your job when the problem is already mushroomed all over the country. You start doing your job at the point of entry. Fix the borders. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, News and Views continues.